Welcome to UC Today with me, David Dungay. We are back again for another UC Partner Trend session. I have with me Mark Bunnell from Nuwave. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing excellent. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So today we're going to be talking about the future of voice services for partners. Of course, voice has gone through a major transformation in the last couple of years for obvious reasons. We're seeing lots of opportunities present themselves for partners. So let's get straight into the conversation, Mark. Where do you see the most value being generated with voice services right now from a partner perspective?
Really it just becomes, how do I provision? How do I, add value to voice, right? I think that, they've been saying for, the last 20 years that voice is dead. That, why are you still in that business? Why are you still providing, voice services? It's a commodity. It's running to zero, all of those things. But the fact of the matter is that, voice is stronger than ever. There's more voice happening today than there ever has been. The only thing that's changed is how do you access that voice? Is it, posted PBX, phone? Is it UC? Is it, contact center? Is it your mobile phone? Right. So voice is still top of mind for most everyone out there. And that's exactly, what they need to have. You always are going to have a voice practice. You're always going to have access to emergency services and things that, go across voice. And so I think that the opportunity is the biggest it's ever been when you start talking about voice on Teams and voice on Zoom and WebEx and the like. And then how are you adding value to that voice by layering on top other services that again, enhance that voice and give you a very strong voice practice.
Yeah, I want to talk about some of the partners you're seeing in the marketplace. But way back when we used to see, those very specialist, voice partners who would only do, voice-related services. Are we seeing, is their time up for those specialists, or is there still a need for them, or are we seeing these more general partners now that seem to encompass sort of every aspect of that customer tech stack?
Well, once upon a time, you could have probably called, Nuwave a voice-only provider. We specialize in voice. I have 30 plus years in specifically voice. And so, really, as we come through to today, those opportunities for voice-only providers are still there. There's more voice today, again, happening for them than ever before. But it's how do you access it? What value are you adding to that voice? And so I think that they still have a very strong practice, but you still have to reinvent yourself. You can't just do the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result. So, if you're trying to stay relevant, if you're trying to be a differentiator, in the market, you have to bring those skills. It's not just ones and zeros. There is a very, known art to making voice good, and especially making voice good over, voice over IP. And so, getting that quality, getting that uptime, not having it be, crackly and those types of things. That's all super relevant. And so, if you specialize in voice and delivering that quality, you're still going to have a very strong practice. But in order to do that, you still have to layer on top of other value-added services to make sure that, you're serving the needs and the use cases that your customers have in the real world.
Yeah. What about those partners who might be coming into this sort of voice world for the first time, who may not have those skills? Are we going to see particularly those IT partners? Are they going to be benefiting, most from these voice opportunities in the future, or is it sort of a level playing field in your eyes?
I think it's really an exciting times for those folks who are just coming into the voice market, that don't have that expertise, because now more than ever, you have tools like what iPilot provides, where you can instantly turn up voice, and you can do it right every single time. That you have that quality network behind it, that you're able to bring your own voice from other providers and things, and do all that auto provisioning without having to swivel chair. And so from today's perspective of those folks who don't have seasoned voice people, on their staff that want to get into that business, that want to have that practice, it's a great time to be looking to do that, just because of all the tools and things that are available now that there never was in the past. It was a very manual, methodical process. You had to have, extreme subject matter experts and engineers on staff to be able to do the complex, setups. The migration from legacy systems to today's, Teams voice or Zoom voice or any of those others, those tools didn't exist before. And so you had to have the expertise on staff. And so, for those that want to get into that market, that want to have a practice, there's no better time than now to do that.
What's that done from a cost perspective and on that barrier to entry then? Obviously these tools are now available. You mentioned iPilot there. Not having to necessarily hire these skills in-house and have those engineers that you've got to keep accredited with the right, continuing accreditations around various vendors. What's that done to that cost, that barrier to entry from a cost perspective?
Yeah, so that's what we specialize in right now is if you're looking to become an interconnected VoIP carrier or an operator in certain areas, having the ability to use our network to expand in those places where you don't have to spend the money to buy network infrastructure. If you're a carrier, operator, or partner that wants to collapse network infrastructure and use ours and then have the software to be able to auto provision everything very seamlessly, there's cost cutting measures there. Having a data entry person that can take a customer from zero, not having any account at all, to making test calls in 10 minutes without a swivel chair, without having to involve engineers, without all of that. Now a data entry person can do 20, 30x the work that it used to happen before. So from an efficiency standpoint, from a network cost standpoint, all of those factors, lend itself to being very successful or having the best chance of being successful in the market, because all of those costs and expenses kind of go out the door and you deliver a quality voice product every single time the same way. It works, perfectly, so that you can just basically become a sales and marketing organization, bring in the customers, have a great customer experience, deliver the quality that they're looking for, and move on to the next customer so that everybody's driving revenue and taking care of their customers. There's no better time to really get into that space than there is now.
Yeah. Well, what do you see happening to the voice space or the voice market over the next, 3 to 5 years, Mark? It's we seem to have seen quite a lot of evolution in terms of how we're communicating over the last 5 years. Pandemic sort of helped us somewhat in that as well. What are your expectations of the future though? And you keep saying the opportunity is bigger than ever. Is that going to continue to grow, that opportunity? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I believe it is. I mean, we're just kind of cutting the surface here. When you start talking about vendor or multi-cloud platform, being able to bring in voice, being able to bring in contact center, call recording, analytics on the voice for mood and sentiment detection, all of those things, being able to provision, across any cloud provider. And so for partners that want to have a voice practice, and if a customer comes in and says, I want Teams, okay, great. And then maybe another customer says, I want, Zoom. Okay, great. You can have one platform and you can deliver that quality voice to each platform. And so you never lose the customer. You may move them to a different platform and another service, but you're not going to lose the customer's voice because you have all of that. And then as you add additional value-added services, like I mentioned, contact center, and being able to seamlessly transfer from your Teams users to your contact center or back and forth, adding other services, and it's all centered around consumption of voice. And so when you have one platform that can do all of that and you don't have to go outside of it, and if there's anything that's not in the platform that you want, that you can instantly bring in and stitch into your customer base, and have choice, there really isn't a better time to consume the services. And I think that that's just going to grow exponentially over time. Some of the other things that we have coming down the pipe with other vendors, other carriers, being able to consume across, anybody on the planet that's in the ecosystem, to be able to very seamlessly, add their calling plans and their services. We're really a platform for all, and an ecosystem that says, if you want anything in voice, this is where you come.
Yeah. One of the continuing sort of conversations within the channel has always been, trying to protect those revenues, protect those customers from, eventually being lost in the likes of Zoom and the Microsofts. Are platforms like yours, are they helping keep those customers sticky and sticking to those partners?
100%, because once you deliver a quality service and a service that never goes down and has all the feature sets that customers are looking for, all the real world use cases, not what people think is coming, but what people actually are using today. And when you start stitching that in, you have a network that never goes down, you provide those value-added tools, and you keep layering on top of it other connectors, other ways of doing business. And so you have a customer that's consuming 5, 6, 7 different types of services that they're all able to self-serve and auto provision and have that quality assurance. A customer's not going to go anywhere. I mean, because the value is there, right? It's when you can provision all of that at your fingertips, a customer can do it all themselves, and you have the efficiencies because it's all automated. Where else are they going to be able to go where they can enjoy all of those, services in one place?
Yeah, great. Mark, tell me there'll be lots of channel partners, sort of MSPs, SIs, and all kinds of other partners as well watching today, who will be thinking about the future of voice and how they should prepare themselves really for some of the changes you've mentioned going on in the market. How should they prepare themselves for voice, that opportunity you speak about, and how that this market's going to evolve in the future? What should be thinking about going forwards?
I really think that they should, evaluate their model and the value that they bring to customers, and really start thinking: are they an SI or a partner that has been historically focused on non-reoccurrings and setup fees and implementation fees that are just one time, and take a longer view and look at it from a monthly reoccurring kind of setup, right? And so we're starting to see some of the most successful SIs that's had that kind of mentality in the past, and they're retweaking their model so that they're giving away some of those professional services and one-time fees, because customers don't want to pay those high fees anymore. They just want to be able to consume a service very easily, get on board, and then the SI needs to be able to take advantage of those monthly reoccurrings, have the longer-term view, because I would much rather have monthly reoccurring than a one-time setup that I have to go out and sell over and over and over. And so I think that having a longer-term view and being prepared to convert your model to a monthly reoccurring model is prudent.
Fantastic. Mark, we're at the end of today's session. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say goodbye, but thank you so much for joining me and sharing some of your insights.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great.
And thank you for watching. You've been watching me, David Dungay, on UC Today. Don't forget to have a look around the platform at the other UC Partner Trends sessions we've got going on. There's so much information for you to really help you on your own journeys. That's it from me. Thanks for watching.